Here is my recommended talent build as a hardcore rogue for leveling. Start out with 2 points in remorseless attacks. This really lowers your kill times in the early levels with the 40% extra crit strike chance on your first sinister strike every mob. Then we hop over to combat, put in our 2 points in sinister strike, and then you want to put 3 points in improved gouge rather than getting anything in lightning reflexes. This extra time on gouge lets you get off more ticks of bandages, which is essential rogue gameplay, especially in hardcore leveling. Precision is very powerful, but we're going to be rushing into deflection so we can get riposte as soon as possible. Riposte is low-key one of the best abilities in the game for a leveling character. It becomes usable anytime after you parry an attack and has a very low energy cost, strikes for a good chunk of weapon damage, and disarms the target for 6 seconds. It's also only on a 6-second cooldown, which means that you can potentially have targets disarmed indefinitely, reducing a lot of the damage that you're taking as you're leveling. Now you have the option of moving straight into precision, which is what I usually opt for, or you can put 2 points in endurance for the reduced cooldown on sprint and evasion much sooner. Either way, we're going to be getting both. I usually go precision, fill out precision 505, and then hop over to endurance. At this point, you get to choose between dual wield spec or improved sprint, but I will also note that we are now at level 29. Sometime during 29 or 30, whenever your routing takes you through a capital city, you do want to go see your rogue trainer, and we're going to be actually spending 1 gold to reset all of our talents. So if you get there at 29, that's fine. If it takes until 30, I usually just pop 1 in dual wield spec. Then we reset our talents, and we're doing this so that we can go straight down the combat tree. We're not picking up remorseless attacks this time. Make all the same choices as before. Pick up endurance, pick up improved sprint if you're not a gnome. And then this lets us get Blade Flurry right at level 30 as soon as we can. Blade Flurry is a big increase to our leveling speed. You just want to be using it on cooldown, pulling 2 mobs at a time, maybe 3 if you're killing them quickly. And then we can keep putting points in dual wield specialization. We opt for the dual wield spec over daggers, maces, swords, fists, or any of that, because especially in hardcore, as we're leveling, we don't have reliable weapons. Sure, there are some dungeon quest rewards that are usually swords that are really good that we keep for a while, but you never know when you're going to find an upgrade. And then also, even if you do have, say, a Sword of Serenity in your main hand, it's not unlikely that you're going to have a dagger in your offhand, or that you find a mace, and then you have a mace in your main hand and a sword in your offhand. So you're constantly losing value as you mix weapon types, and it's just not as good as putting points into dual wield spec. We won't quite finish dual wield spec right now. We're going to move down to weapon expertise. Even though this doesn't cover maces, it's unlikely that we're never using a sword, fist, or dagger, at least in the offhand, and it's definitely worth putting the points in weapon expertise still. Aggression will go 3 out of 3, and then grab Adrenaline Rush as soon as we can. Now at level 41, I hop back in the Assassination tree, get the remorseless attacks that we didn't have anymore, put 3 points in Malice. You could finish off Malice right away if you like, but I personally like to grab 3 out of 3 Slice and Dice. My opener usually consists of a Garrote into a 1-point Slice and Dice before starting to Sinister Strike, and eventually finishing off with an Eviscerate if needed. So the extra duration on the Slice and Dice just makes sure that I don't usually have to use more than 1 point on it. Pop 2 points in Malice, and then as soon as this tier is open, I like to put the 1 point in Relentless Strikes, especially as I'm saying with the 1 point Slice and Dice opener. It just gives you a 20% chance to get 25 energy back every mob. Not to mention, if you're finishing the mob off with an Eviscerate, say 3 or 4 point Eviscerate, that's a 60 or 80% chance to just get 25 energy back and be ready to go into the next mob even sooner. Then I put 5 points in lethality. It's just good damage. We're up to level 56 at this point. Your last few points are not super impactful at 57, 58, 59, but I find the most value being from dual wield spec over here, just filling it out. And then it depends if you're planning on grinding through, say, winter, spring, and just killing a bunch of furbolgs in your last couple levels. Murder can be a good 1 and 2% damage. But if you're planning on moving around, maybe going to Silithus, and Eastern Plaguelands during your last couple of levels. Murder is not going to do anything against a lot of those mobs like the undeads, so you're just going to want to put your points into Ruthlessness. And then there you have it. You're level 59. Your last point doesn't matter because you're going to be respecing at 60 anyways if you plan on doing 60 content.